What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle, and we're going to be talking about some Darkest Dungeon DLC for Darkest Dungeon 1. Can you believe it? They're actually giving us more DD1 DLC of all things. And it's going to be called the Fire's Edge, so a little play on both characters coming. So these are the new heroes from DD2 going back to DD1, and this is the Duelist and the Runaway. And they're going to come with new mechanics, trinkets, and hamlet districts. I'm already seeing a lot of comments where people are saying they're not adding anything, or like, what else is coming? Are they just going to be like heroes and no mechanics? Or, you know, it's like, it's here. Reading can be difficult. I understand. Reading make brain hurt. But it's here. So you're going to get some districts, some characters, and trinkets with them that we know of. Now, it's a good thing they put the announcement out very quickly. From what happened last week, they accidentally leaked the achievements by uploading them to the client, but SteamDB tracks everything. And so someone checked SteamDB and they saw that there were achievements for burning and runaway and stuff like that. So they went, oh my goodness gracious. All right. We'll talk about the details, talk about the community reaction. I'll talk about some stuff with the channel as well, and that'll be afterwards. So let us begin with the announcements. The DLC is coming out in about 3 weeks, August 18th, so that is not far away. If you have never picked up Darkest Dungeon 1 when it's been on sale, it might be worth considering if you want to get into it and try everything. Now we have more characters as well, because DD1 was going on sale for about $5, like just the base game, and then the DLCs and all that would come with it discounted. You can probably get the whole thing for about $20 total, which is really good. There's a ton of content there. So we're getting this on PC and Mac on the 18th, and what they are saying here is 2 more wayward souls wander the old road, the Duelist and Runaway. Heroes who originally made their debut in Darkest Dungeon 2 bring their unique abilities to bear against horrors that lurk beneath the manor. The Runaway is a position-flexible damage dealer, utilizing a burn damage type with high synergy for teams that like to utilize stuns and movement effects, so pull, knockback, and shuffle. One of the dominant strategies in just normal Darkest Dungeon is a lot of stunning, where you control the action economy very well, and there's something that's been more discovered recently, where the meta is starting to shift. I shouldn't say starting. The meta has really shifted to just a dodge meta, where you really just want to, instead of not wasting, but, you know, the thought process is, you know, you might use a buff or two, but you're not spending all your turns trying to set up stuns and juggle stuff. It's just when the enemy misses you the majority of the time, even if it's just a coin flip, like a 50-50 on each hit is actually really powerful. And just having that is kind of like another way to control action economy, because you're not spending a turn to use a stun, but they're missing you and wasting their turn, if that makes sense. So I'm going to make a video kind of updated on that. I'm talking to Thick. He's going to help me out too, so it should be really good. The Duelist is a complex damage dealer that dances between the party's ranks, able to freely maintain riposte while alternating between her 2 combat stances, defensive and aggressive. Proper planning of the Duelist's future turns is key to mastering her playstyle and maximizing her potential. In addition to 2 new recruitable heroes, this DLC also introduces new combat mechanics, powerful trinkets, and additional hamlet districts. We don't know how many of those, but that's the announcement. And honestly, this should just be exciting news. In a perfect world, this is all very exciting news, but people have questions, understandably. They're saying, what about mods? You know, you're gonna drop new content into the game after 6.5, 7 years, whatever it is, and you know, you might just brick all the mods that we have. Fear not, because this is from John, the producer of Red Hook. It says 2M. I don't know if that's 2 months or 2 minutes, but this is the screen cap someone got me when I asked, because I remember seeing this. I'm glad someone was able to help me out. I'm actually going to double check who that was. I want to say it was Zahara, if I can find it. Yeah, it was Zahara. So thank you, Zahara, for the quick and great answer there. So if you can't read this, let me just zoom in a little bit. Beep. So John on Reddit, we're being very conscious of not breaking existing mods. All the changes have been additive and hopefully just give the existing mod community some new toys to play with. We're also working on an improved mod manager. Great. And we'll be looking for modders to come and test both the new features and the new mod manager. Keep an eye out. So I really think this should just put all of the fears about modding to bed right away. Just because, Red Hook did this with DD2 as well. When they started making mod tools, they got prominent modders to join them and work on them with them. So I don't know where all this trepidation about Red Hook came from, where everyone's thinking they all of a sudden became a scummy company overnight, and that could not be further from the truth. This is one of the few indie devs out there that is actually a really straight shooter and very transparent. They go through long bouts of radio silence, which I personally disagree with, but they're honest. And there's no reason not to trust them on this. They have not lied. They haven't done anything to betray that trust. So we know what the content is. We know that mods are a priority. Now I want to look at the community reaction in general, because granted, it's the Steam forums, and the Steam forums are almost radioactive in their toxicity. A lot of people excited, understandably, and then another cash grab. I don't know why we're already assuming it's just cash grabs here. There's nothing in this company's history that should tell you that that's what's happening. Oh, hey, let's update a new game we haven't in a long time to screw up mod support. I doubt this person knew, so that's why I talked to John, but also other people in the Red Hook Discord, and that's how I got hooked up with that comment very fast. And I don't know if I'm allowed to necessarily say this, but I know John is going to work on, they're talking about what they want to reiterate in their next presser. So that's kind of it's me trying to give you something without giving you anything, if that makes sense. So they're aware that not everyone is as plugged in as some of us are, which is what partly my job is to be plugged in and then give you that information. Just 2 characters being backported from the sequel due to it not panning out. You're going to see this all the time. I mean, in the Steam forums, sure, but you're going to see it other places too. I saw it on the Reddit. Just any community space, you're going to have people just assuming the worst. Oh, it's a cash grab. DD2 didn't sell well, so they're going to go back and resurrect Darkest Dungeon 1, and just do a thought exercise for a second, okay? Darkest Dungeon 2 sold very, very well, right? It did, okay? Don't know what the exact numbers are, but hundreds of thousands of units, maybe past 1 million easy, right? So DD2 did super well, to the point where another big gaming developer or umbrella type thing, parent company, publisher, whatever you want to say, but Behavior came in and said, you guys are profitable, you're doing an amazing job, we're going to pick you up, give you financial security, but you're going to stay autonomous and just do your thing and keep pumping out good stuff. And then they left the room. And people don't seem to understand that, because there was a big thing about it when Behavior was introduced a couple years ago, but that's what it was back then too. They come in, they say, here's some resources, and then they get the fuck out of there. And what's Red Hook doing with that now? They have the backing of a bigger company with a lot of finance, and so they're putting the IP to work. I had to read over 5 years of people complaining about Darkest Dungeon 2 sucking, and they don't like it, and they're like, why didn't we get more DD1 stuff, like a DLC, or this could have been DD 1.5, or they should have just did DD1 but then made it HD or something like that. And so, in good faith, Red Hook is backing up. They're taking new stuff from the second game, and people like new heroes. That's one of the most fun things to have. And they're saying, here, we're going to move all of these to you, and you're going to get to have them. They're going to be fun, and you get to have more content in this game because you don't want to buy the second game. I don't know who gets that mixed up with they're cash grabbing me and I hate this, I don't want this. And it just, I don't know, okay? I don't want to assume the worst, but it's mind-blowing to read that kind of disconnection repeatedly for years. Because people say, I want this. You get what you want, and then you say, no, I didn't want that. They're saying DD1 is more profitable than 2. One of the things I heard, I need to verify, but I'm pretty sure 2 outsold 1 in terms of like financial volume. So, new DLC for the first DD. Do they know that people preferred the first one? Now mod showcases and this, and it's like, no, Red Hook loves both their games. They're going back to the first game, so the people that didn't want to play 2 don't feel like they got left behind. They got left out, like you don't matter anymore. When they made Darkest Dungeon 2, one of the first things they said, which again, not everyone's plugged in, so you didn't hear this, but they said that they don't want DD2 to replace DD1. Because a lot of sequels do that. Rogue Legacy, for example, and a couple others off the top of my head that immediately escaped me because I didn't write them down. But that is a thing for sequels. I guess like Diablo, right? You know, like Diablo 2 replaces 1, 3 tried to replace 2, but then everyone went to 2, and then 4, you know, regardless. So they wanted to make sure that you had a reason to play both games, and you didn't feel like, well, I'm just moving on, I'm getting my Madden update, and I'm, you know, just going to play that. But yeah, way to come crawling back to DD1 after the sequel shot the bed. There's no proof that the sequel did bad. People don't like it for various reasons, understandable. But to say that it underperformed, it was a financial flop or anything like that, there's no evidence of that. Red Hook is doing good. They're making new stuff. They're working on right now the DD1 DLC, a DD2 DLC, and possibly a third game. So they're getting resources and they're doing stuff. I don't know why you would assume that DD2 did that bad if they're still putting content into it. I thought it was done because it had been so long since they even talked about it, but now it's not. I'm going to spell a couple other things that I read in the first couple pages of this thread, just because I know these are going to be things that people think. They're going to have them, you know, as their own opinions. They're, you know, I'm not saying they're copying everything. Like, these are conclusions people may reach themselves, and they might flood my comments with it. So I'm trying to head it off before it gets there. Like this one. You want to tell me that both Duelist and Runaway class mods were made for naught? These are mods. That means they are free things made by passionate people that are added to the game. What about console players that don't get mods? Right? A lot of people on console that don't get mods. So those were made for naught. You make a mod knowing that it may, you know, get infringed on, because you're not the IP owner when you make a mod. You're doing something out of love, and the game dev is nice enough to let you, you know, have a place to upload it that you get to use it and play with it easily, which is the Steam Workshop. And then the other thing too is there are tons of mods of hero rebalance in the workshop for both games. So instead of saying, oh, these class mods were made for naught, just think of them as rebalances now. They're just different. They're rebalances. In fact, adding the two characters these are based on would actually make the class mods operate better, because now they have the tools from Red Hook themselves to make the mods better. So if they want to tweak anything else, they don't have to do... I mean, I haven't played these two mods yet, so I don't know what they actually entail, but I'm assuming, like, if you try and do Duelist as a stance character, you don't have to do whatever backwards coding and such to make it work. You don't have to reskin Blight for Runaway as Burn and, you know, put Blight Burn in your resist sheet and stuff like that, because now you just have Burn. So it helps. It takes nothing away. It helps. And for anyone wondering, like, oh, they're gonna resurrect an old game, like, why would you do that? It's a total cash grab. The game must have failed if you're going back and doing this. I'm gonna give you a case study here, and we're gonna look at BlazBlue Central Fiction. BlazBlue is a fighting game from ArcSys, the developers that make a lot of other fighting games like Marvel Tokon that's coming out, but more importantly, Guilty Gear, specifically Guilty Gear Strive. We know that ArcSys ended up shelving BlazBlue because they said they didn't want it competing with Guilty Gear. They wanted Guilty Gear to be the main fighting game for the franchise. And so there was no more development on BlazBlue. In fact, the guy that did the heavy lifting in the creative work, his name was, I believe, Mori, I don't remember his full name, but he left eventually. And then 11 years later, or whatever it is, new character. Kind of. But they added a character. You know, after so long, they went back and added a character. Like, are they cash grabbing? No, their other game did incredibly well. Sometimes people go back and make stuff because they want to, because they care about it. Same thing with Risk of Rain Returns. Risk of Rain 2 was an absolute dynamite revenue powerhouse. And they're like, you know, let's go back and do Returns. Let's just go back and check out our old game again and just make it fun and spice it up, add a little bit, and then re-release it. But it's not just a remaster with extra graphics. It actually has stuff. It's time to talk about the Shuff himself, and we're going to talk about the channel because I'm going to put a channel update in this too. So the first thing I want to address is, where is the content? As you can see, my upload schedule has greatly diminished. I put out maybe 2 videos a month right now, and I'm trying a lot of different stuff too. So, you know, some sponsor bits, but also just some really cool games that are coming out that I really like. You know, I love Chaos Zero Nightmare. It's like an STS gacha game. Very cool. You have Quasimorph, which is, I'm going to talk about later, but that 1.0 is coming out. And just different variety stuff and like some Limbus here and there because Ranger really likes it. And so I'm also covering other just games like Darkest Dungeon inspired games, Skull X, that's really cool. So a lot of stuff, and there's still some Darkest Dungeon occasionally. As you can see, I'm not uploading that much. So let's talk about why. First thing is, life just gets in the way. I'm not going to pretend that, you know, my hardships are harder than anyone else's. I actually don't like doing comparisons like that, but there's stuff happening for me offline that has been pretty hard to manage. And so that makes it hard to make content because my job is to be not only educational, but also entertaining. And it's really hard to be entertaining when you're perpetually depressed or whatever about other things happening in life. It's kind of hard to amp yourself up sometimes. Dealing with it, okay? I'm not using the camera as the therapist, but I appreciate any understanding. I am working through that and things are getting better. And so now we're here. But that's the main reason the content fell off, because just life got in the way. And it's always been giving me anxiety that I'm not uploading that much. Like I stress about it daily. And so with a lot of good stuff on the way, like Darkest Dungeon 1 DLC, Quasimorph 1.0, a lot of other cool games that are out there. Like I have a huge list of stuff I want to show you guys. And then we have Darkest Dungeon 2 DLC next year, and possibly a third game from Red Hook. We don't know anything about it yet, if it's in the works, but they said they wanted to do a game, so, right? Fingers crossed, let's hope. The reason also I started moving away a bit from Darkest Dungeon is, for one, just as a content creator, this is like career suicide to stay on one game that isn't like a live service game. You know, if you're like Otts and Dead by Daylight, even though Otts does a lot of other great things for very cool games, I'm not saying that, but you just look at any other people that are kind of adjacent to my position, where you have Otts who, you know, dabbles in Darkest Dungeon, he's a huge fan, but, you know, he plays a lot of DVD because it's a live service game, so there's always content for him to be doing. Look at someone like friends of the show, Bear Taffy and Jared. They're both variety streamers. They focus on mostly a niche. Like Jared has a lot of like FPS Doom shooters and some roguelikes and stuff. Bear has a lot of roguelikes, but you don't just stay on one game forever. If you want to grow, you have to move around and get new stuff in there. And so that's also what I'm doing here, especially when Darkest Dungeon 2 goes silent for a long period of time. I'm going to still throw in the Darkest Dungeon content. Don't worry, a lot of stuff. I'm going to update a lot of the stuff too. I don't know if I said that, but we got to update some like meta discussion, some of the strategies, maybe even some guides, you know, if I can make them shorter for sure. We'll see. And then maybe a tier list. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do a tier list again, but we'll see. We got 2 new characters. The other reason I stopped doing Darkest Dungeon content was about a year and some change, like a year and 3 months, year and a half ago. I made a video that was kind of like a call for help in terms of the community, and it was this one. This is a video essay, so to speak. I mean, this is a very messy one itself, despite the name of the game or the title, but I was having a lot of frustration at this time, and this happened for about 2 years in total. But I was having a lot of frustration revolving around the community for Darkest Dungeon, specifically the Discord and even some other content creators. I'm not going to name drop or anything like that, but the short version of that is every time I would be trying to talk in like an official channel, and I'd be trying to do my best to present some kind of objective evidence. You know, it's like I go through and, I read, a few dozen Steam reviews. These are some common plot points. I streamed the game all the time. I was making a ton of videos back then. Here are all the things I see repeated that people are having trouble with. And then I would weigh in with my own experience, and I'd say, okay, with these things, I think they're complaining about this. Because a lot of the times, which is what I said in this video, is that a lot of players, if they're not super plugged in and they don't know all the terminology or have all those years of experience and whatnot, they'll know something feels bad in a game, but they don't exactly know why. For instance, they'll be like, oh man, this game's way harder than the first. Well, it's because they have Ordained and Hasten. They have +6 speed on you, and they just punch you in the face every turn. And a lot of players aren't going to pick that up right away. So those are the things I would be trying to present and trying to get things addressed. And it'd be okay if Red Hook told me no or whatever. It's like, I'm not always going to get a response, and I understand that. However, it was getting to the point when I was in the Discord, and every time I would talk about something, I'd be like, hey, this is kind of an issue. People are talking about this. I think they mean this. Check this out. Here's an example on video. Here's some math I did. And then someone would just punch the door in and go, no, that's not the intended design philosophy. That's not how it is. And I'm like, I'm sorry, does your name have Red Hook in it? Are you an employee? No. You know what the frickin' design intent was? They haven't said it. So don't talk for them. And it was just like appeal to some kind of authority that is not present. And that would happen all the frickin' time. It wasn't just with that, but just any time I tried to help advance the state of the game. People would be going, no, the game's perfect. This is the design intent. This is the outcome. You don't get the vision, Shuff. And that went on for years. And you know what I saw? Dwindling player numbers and review scores. So whatever's happening isn't working. From an objective standpoint, you go, things need to change. And things did eventually change. I'm not going to be all doom and gloomy. Because I made this video specifically, and a lot of things happened like right after. There were some enemy adjustments like Hollow Vessel, spiders. There were the Steadfast Stewards updates. People don't... I don't even know if it actually directly influenced it, but it is kind of interesting that I make this video, and then a couple months later, we're getting massive sweeping hero rebalance. When I said we needed it then, when I said, oh, we need to update the heroes, this, that, and the other thing, and they said, the heroes are perfectly fine, Shuff. You don't understand the vision or the design intent of the heroes. You just don't know. Stop doing that. And then Red Hook comes in and says, yeah, you know what? We need to tune some stuff up and update it. And then they did so. And everyone's like, oh my God, Red Hook. Yes, I knew the entire time that this could have been better. That all of these changes were well received and well thought out. And it's like, flip the table, because I'm out here working my ass off. And then, same thing, short version with Darkest Dungeon 1. There was a lot of people that were disagreeing with things I said, and that's totally fine. I'm an adult, I can handle being disagreed with. But people were getting to the point where they're just outright lying. Like, they would say, oh, you're really wrong about this. And they would even ask me, like, why did you say this? Why was this on your tier list or whatever? And I go, did you watch the video? Like, why do I need to watch the video? Because you're asking me to explain it. So why don't you watch it? And maybe you'll see what I'm saying. You can still disagree with me. No, the video's too long. I'm not going to watch it. It's like right here. You know, it's like there. You don't have to watch the entire thing. No. 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 And I went a step further because a lot of these people started lying about me after. And they'd be like, oh, he threw a tantrum because we disagreed with him. And he's just all these things. It's like, so I'm getting it from both games where I'm having people appeal to an authority that they don't have. And then I have another group of people that are misrepresenting me and just straight up lying. And now if that's in my YouTube comments or on Reddit or a Steam forum, I don't care. But when I'm in like the community server, after all the work I'm doing for this series, that hurts. That hurts a lot. And even with DD2, I had someone claim that because I made this video, ignore all of the other stuff I made. I'm going all the way to the top. I make so much good, helpful, positive content for Darkest Dungeon. Right, look at all this. How much of this is angry clickbait? I'm waiting. 1. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It doesn't exist, does it? Oh, Shuff, you're the beacon of negativity. Sometimes you get salty on stream. It's like, yeah, because I'm honest. If they do something weird or if it needs to be changed, I'll say it. I'm not a shill. Like, I'm very honest with Red Hook. That's part of the reason I think they like me. You know, it's like, I have to deal with that. And then I remember the most tilting one is, again, I was trying to talk to this person and they said, I think you're like the leader of the negativity. Anytime there's a negative opinion, it starts at you. And then at the end of that, they said, but I know I might not be telling the truth because I don't actually watch your content, but that's how I feel. So it's like, you're gonna freaking slander me? You have no evidence and you're gonna slander my ass? Like, what the hell is that? I think you get the point. I had to get that off my chest. I'm sorry. I was going to try and put it in a video for so long. I still probably shouldn't put it in this video. But that was eating away at me so bad for like 2 years. And just saying it, I feel such just a weight. A weight is gone. Okay, I don't care if people don't like me. I don't care what people think of my content or my takes or whatever. Don't lie about me. If you're going to lie about me, just don't talk about me. Okay? I do a lot of work for this community. I find cool people and I pick them up and go, look what they did. It's great. Look at this art. Look at this mod. Look at this content creator that's putting in the work and they're up and coming. Check this out. Check this out. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. Okay. Now, the immediate future. As I said, Darkest Dungeon 1, Quasimorph 1.0. Those are what I'm looking forward to. They're coming out. Quasimorph is like Escape from Tarkov meets Doom. Okay, so imagine that you're the Doom guy, the Doom Slayer, the guy Doom, right? And you're playing a top-down pixel graphic, but it's still 3D models, I think. When Ranger and I took a look, it's like how they render them and stuff like that. And it's an extraction single-player game. It's one of the coolest games I've ever played. It's coming out into 1.0 very soon. There's a lot of crossover. If you like hard turn-based games and you like Darkest Dungeon, play this. You will like this game. Same with Stone Shards. Stone Shards still on the menu too. If you like STS and you don't mind collecting anime waifus, you can play Chaos Zero Nightmare. That's another one. That's a great game. I love that game. I'm going to make more videos for it. I also have a series called Indiscoveries. I really am apologizing because I forget the person who told me that title, because that title is fire, and everyone's liked it so far. And so I only have 2 in here right now, but I got plenty more. I just have to sit down and make them. So we're going to talk about those and some DD influenced games a bit more. So that's like the immediate thing. The future, we're going to talk about, I'm going to cover, obviously, the Darkest Dungeon 2 DLC. When that comes out, we have more info. And of course, if Red Hook makes another game, I'll be one of the first, hopefully, to report on it. And we'll explore that as well. So that's what I wanted to say. Really cool DD1 DLC coming out, giving you a personal update for where I've been and what I'm doing and how I'm doing. Y'all are beautiful. Even if I don't show up for a couple weeks at a time, you know, I read every single comment, at least that YouTube tells me about. I read them, and even if I don't respond to them, I always like reading them. Even if it's like a disagreement, someone types me an essay and I'm like, you know, they made a cool point, and I'll just, you know, I'll tell them that. I'm like, hey, great point. As far as streaming goes, I've been trying to get back into this, at least on my 3-day schedule, but I've been sick for like a week and a half, so I'm getting better. All right. That's it. Follow all the links below. You know, financially support the channel if you feel so inclined. I have a thing where I know patrons. I can't remember if it's YouTube members as well, but if you hit like the right tier, you can ask me to cover a game. And right now, someone finally called that in, and they want me to cover White Knuckle. So I'm going to cover White Knuckle when I can. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. I love all of you, even the haters. You're beautiful. See you next time.